Before Earth existed, before the oceans, before life, before even the sun was born, something else was here. A place, a time, a universe that looked nothing like today. In this video, we are going back 4.6 billion years to discover what existed before Earth was formed. And the truth is stranger, darker, and more violent than anything you can imagine. So let's begin at the moment before our world even had a chance to exist. Before Earth was formed, there was only the universe, but not the peaceful one we see today. The early universe was chaotic, hostile, filled with explosions, filled with newborn stars and dying stars. It was a place where entire suns lived and died long before Earth was even an idea. Our story begins inside a massive cloud of gas and dust, a cloud so large it could form thousands of Earths. This cloud would one day give birth to our sun and everything orbiting it. But back then, it was just a cold, dark region hidden in space. Scientists call it the solar nebula. Before Earth existed, there was only this cloud, a mixture of hydrogen, helium, ice, carbon, iron dust, silicates. But most importantly, there were atoms created by stars that lived long before our sun. That means before Earth existed. Earth's atoms already existed. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen you breathe. All of it was created by stars that exploded billions of years ago. Earth did not exist yet, but the ingredients for Earth were already floating in space. So, what made Earth possible? What triggered the creation of our solar system? Scientists believe a massive supernova exploded nearby. A dying star, far bigger than our sun, collapsed, and then detonated with unimaginable force. The shockwave slammed into the giant cloud. It squeezed the gas. It compressed the dust. It forced gravity to take over. Without that explosion, Earth would never have existed. This event was the true beginning of everything we know. Before Earth formed, our sun came first. The collapsing cloud started spinning faster and faster, like water swirling down a drain. At the center, a massive ball of gas grew hotter and denser. Finally, after millions of years, the core ignited. Our sun was born, but Earth was still nowhere to be found. In fact, the early solar system was a deadly place. Around the newborn sun, the remaining gas and dust formed a huge spinning disk. This disk contained ice fragments, dust grains, metal particles, tiny rocks. And these tiny pieces began sticking together, not gently, not peacefully, but violently. They smashed into each other at incredible speeds. Every collision created more heat, more force, more destruction. This was the cosmic battlefield where Earth would eventually be born. At this time, the Earth was not a planet. It was a collection of tiny rocks, no bigger than sand. These particles kept colliding, merging, growing, from dust grains to pebbles to stones to asteroid-sized bodies called planetesimals. These objects were the first proto-Earths, but they were nothing like our world. They were hot, rough, chaotic, constantly smashing into each other. Earth was being built piece by piece, but it was still millions of years from becoming a planet. Now imagine the early solar system. Thousands of giant rocks crashing into each other. Explosions everywhere. Heat so intense it could melt entire mountains. This was the moment when Earth began to take shape. As planetesimals grew larger, their gravity increased. They pulled more and more material toward themselves. One object became bigger than all the others around it. This was the first version of Earth, Proto-Earth, a molten sphere of lava. No oceans, no atmosphere, no life, just a glowing, burning world. But Earth's story gets even more dramatic. About 4.5 billion years ago, another planet, about the size of Mars, appeared. Scientists call it Thea. Thea and Earth were on a collision course. When they finally hit, it was one of the most powerful impacts in the history of the solar system. Mountains vaporized instantly. Rock melted into oceans of lava. Debris flew into space. And from this debris, something incredible happened. The moon was born. So, before Earth, as we know it, existed, a violent planetary collision created the moon. Without that impact, life on Earth might never have been possible. After the Thea collision, Earth was a complete ocean of magma. There was no solid ground, no sky, no water, just a glowing, red-hot planet. Slowly, very slowly, Earth began to cool. The crust hardened first. The atmosphere formed from volcanic gases, and the planet stopped glowing. For the first time, Earth looked like a planet, but it still had no oceans, no continents, no life. It was a world trying to heal. Before Earth had oceans, water came from two sources. One, volcanic steam. Early volcanoes released water vapor, which cooled into rain. Two, asteroids full of ice. Ice-rich space rocks crashed into Earth, delivering billions of gallons of water. Over millions of years, rain fell non-stop. The planet cooled enough for liquid water to stay on the surface. Oceans formed, clouds formed, the atmosphere stabilized. Earth finally looked blue. For the first time, Earth began to resemble the world we know today. But still, before Earth supported life, it was a harsh, toxic planet. The atmosphere was filled with methane, ammonia, carbon dioxide, sulfur gases. Lightning storms covered the sky. Volcanoes erupted everywhere. Meteorites continued to fall. Yet inside this chaos, something incredible was happening. The ingredients for life were forming. Not plants, not animals, not humans, but the first molecules that would eventually lead to life. This stage is known as the prebiotic Earth. Scientists believe that lightning, volcanic heat, and deep ocean vents created the conditions for simple organic molecules. These molecules combined, reacted, and formed more complex structures. Eventually, they produced the first self-replicating molecules. This was the spark. Earth was no longer just a planet. It had the potential to create life. So, what existed before Earth? Here is the truth. Ancient stars that exploded and created the atoms in our body. Clouds of gas and dust drifting through space. A supernova that triggered the birth of the sun. A spinning disk that formed planets. Millions of collisions that shaped our world, a giant impact that created the moon. A molten planet that slowly cooled. Endless rain that formed oceans. Chemical reactions that made life possible. Everything, every step, every event had to happen perfectly. Otherwise, Earth would never exist. The story of Earth did not begin on Earth. It began in the hearts of ancient stars, in clouds of dust older than time, in explosions more powerful than anything we can imagine. Before Earth, there was chaos, and from that chaos came the only planet we know of that can support life. Our home, our world, our Earth. Thank you for watching. If you want more videos like this, subscribe, like, and tell me which cosmic mystery you want next.